North Dakota Senator John Hoeven is a member of the Senate Appropriations Committee, and we're going to bring him in now. So, I mean, the Democrats are blocking the bill that would actually pay active duty military. So there's, I mean, everyone would have lost their pool and their bet on this one. Everyone thought it was Elon Musk, but it's not. It's Timothy Mellon has reportedly donated $130 million to pay the troops. But that won't help the rest of the federal workers. So, you know, from what you're hearing and in your talks with Democrats across the aisle, why are they playing these games?
Yeah, as you said, this is day 25 of the shutdown. It's way past time to get beyond this Schumer shutdown. Whatever point they thought they were making, they long since made it. And, you know, you mentioned the military, for example. And again, we've had vote after vote, and we're going to continue to press them on these votes, whether it's the military, everybody else. But obviously, we need to get the government open. And, you know, obviously, that was a remarkable thing Mr. Mellon did there. But that's still only about $100 per member of our military. So, I mean, it doesn't cover what it takes to fund the military. And so the military, end of the month, obviously, they're going without pay. You're talking about our air traffic controllers. Middle of the week, they're working, of course, and not getting paid. But, you know, the other thing is now you're going to start to see, with the beginning of November, things like WIC, Women, Infant, and Children, SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance. Those programs aren't going to be funded either. And I certainly think the Democrats are going to feel pressure to end this Schumer shutdown.
That's a great point, and we'll see what happens with that. But like small business, the administration, the Small Business Administration, they estimate 320 small businesses nationwide each day cannot access SBA commercial loans. That means Californians, you know, they lead the pack right there. Number of loans not approved each week because nobody's there to approve it. Texas, Florida, New York, but every state really is dealing with this. And that's a lot of people, you know, and I'm concerned about them trying to put money on their tables. But from your perspective in North Dakota, what's it like with farmers, ranchers, the ag industry? I mean, how are they being affected by this?
Well, they're being affected very adversely. We actually worked with Brooke Rollins, the Secretary of Ag, and we're able to work out to get some of the functions going in the Farm Service Agency offices, but that's only some of the things that they need. So they're being hit just like everybody else. So whether it's law enforcement, whether it's Border Patrol, whether it's our great military, TSA, everybody in the Department of Transportation, our farmers and ranchers, small business, look, they're all out there working, and they're being adversely impacted by this. So when Senator Schumer says, oh, it's getting better for him every day, well, you know, it's certainly getting worse for all the people that he's supposed to be working for. And again, we put up a bill to pay the military, they vote that down. To pay TSA, they vote that down. A clean CR. Remember, this is a clean CR that they're blocking, and they passed 13 of them with 100% of the Democrat votes, and only twice they had 98% of the Democrat votes, but 13 times they passed this type of resolution to keep the government open under Biden, and now suddenly they can't. Americans need to understand very clearly that it is Democrats that is shutting things down and creating this pain for people across the country.
Yeah, and just so people understand what a clean CR is, so just picture a contract, the exact same terms, just the end date changes. So you strike out whatever date and move it to, in this case, November whatever, and in that time you negotiate a new one. I mean, that's kind of what it is, right? Everything stays the same. Their alibi is health care. You know, that's what they're going after, and they want an expansion of Obamacare, coverage for illegal aliens, which they deny, but it's obviously true, and how they work around it. What do you see with regard to that? Because there's been some talk that maybe Republicans will negotiate on that, but what's the strategy here? And generally speaking, I mean, healthcare obviously needs to be tackled, but how?
Rob, I'm really glad that you brought that up, because they're saying that the inflation in healthcare is all because we're not extending this additional premium enhancement. Basically, it's an advanced premium tax credit, but it's actually just a direct payment to the insurance companies. But they're saying that's what's causing healthcare costs to increase for people this year, but the reality is Obamacare is creating that inflation in healthcare, and it's going to keep doing it. So the key is we've got to have some reforms. And we've made very clear, once government's open, we're willing to work on those reforms, but you can't just keep throwing money at Obamacare and expect that medical inflation to be addressed. It's making it worse. And people need to understand that when they see the increase in their health care premiums, it's because of Obamacare. And that is not going to change regardless of this Schumer shutdown. So we need to get open again and work on the kind of reforms that will actually not only give people more control over their health care, but the kind of reforms that will help control this runaway cost that has been created by Obamacare.
So the system is broken. There's no question about it. The Democrats want to keep funding a broken system. Republicans, I think, as I've heard, say, okay, we understand there's a healthcare system and it's important. We just need to fix it so we're not burning money, literally. Right. That is, I guess that's a key sticking point. But there's been 3 Democrats that have crossed party lines to keep the government open. There's one Republican, though, Rand Paul, who says, you know, I'm voting against this because we're not cutting enough. How do you get those other votes in your private conversations with Democrats? Does anyone say, yeah, I know we got to do this, but I got to stick with my party?
Rob, that's right on. And I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think you're going to see Senator Schumer do anything. I mean, he is obviously beholden to the left wing of his base. He wants the shutdown. You know, he's the one that's created it. But I do think there are some practical Democrats, and I'm talking to them, and I think that they are starting to see, and I hope this week, I really do think maybe this week, they're going to see all these impacts, including not funding WIC. So you're talking, you know, food for low-income women and children. You're talking about the food stamp program. That's happening now. And I think these practical Democrats, in addition to all the other impacts we talked about, they're starting to think, okay, we got to do something. Now, that means they have to vote for that clean CR so we get government open. Then we can work on a lot of things like we've talked about, including healthcare reform. But healthcare reform is not continuing to throw trillions of dollars at a broken system. It's coming up with reforms that work and work for the people so they have better access to health care, but you don't have this runaway healthcare inflation.